Mummy's Little Monkey, and I'd like to show you now another item from the Korbond Back to School range, and this is their hemming kit, but this one is a traditional sewing kit as opposed to the no-sew option, which I've spoken about in another video. So this one uses kind of basic sewing skills, and when I say basic, I was able to do it, so you really will be able to as well. And I'll show you that on the videos. I'll show you how to do it, how easy it is, how quick it is, and give you the confidence hopefully to try that yourself at home and save you the costs of getting that professionally altered. So I'm going to show you two simple sewing methods you can use to do this hemming. So you get your trousers in this case, or skirt, or whatever it might be, and you turn them inside out and you fold up to where you want the new hem to be, and just use the measuring tape to make sure you've got the right, you're taking it up to the right length. Use a couple of pins in there just to make sure that the hem stays where you want it to stay while you're hemming. I've already threaded this one up with some snazzy gold thread so you can see more easily what I'm doing here. And the first thing I'm going to do is called a running stitch, which is a really, really simple sewing stitch that anyone should be able to do. So see, I've knotted the end there. So I started off. And what you try to do, just get that in there first, is basically you're just literally doing a running stitch like this through the fabric. So just to sort of show you what I'm doing there, so popping it through, just trying to get a tiny bit from the other side, and then pulling it back out. Now the aim is to try not to let that pucker or gather up, just sort of keep that nice and flat. And basically you just keep going like you're going. You can even, if you want to be really clever about it, you could pick up a couple at a time like this, and that sort of just speeds things up if you're in a hurry. But again, just as you pull the thread through, make sure it stays nice and flat and smooth. And look, just to show you what I'm doing there. It's not a masterpiece, but you can see it does the trick, and it's sort of quite firmly attached now. So that's just to sort of show you. I'll finish this one off, and just to sort of show you how it looks from the other side. So we'll cut that one nice and close, cut that one nice and close. So again, you just see how that looks there. And if you turn it back the other way, you should see that there's barely any sign of it on the other side there. Just those tiny, tiny little stitches, which when it's in a matching colour, you just won't be able to see, you won't notice. So, and you can see there also, if I hold that up, you can see now how that now is the new length. When your child gets taller, which they inevitably do, instead of having to then go and buy new trousers for them, all you have to do is go in there, get a stitch ripper, and literally just pull those stitches apart, and voila, you're back to your original hem again. So now I'm going to show you another type of stitch, which is called the slip stitch, and this is the stitch that my mum actually taught me many, many years ago. This one is, you start off the same way. You measure how far you want to bring that hem up, and then you use your tape to make sure that you've got that exact length. But what you need to do with this one is you actually need to, rather than just folding over once, it needs to be folded over twice, or you need to have another layer under there. So basically you've got like a little sleeve there, and you've got a double layer of fabric there. And the reason you want to do that is because when you sew, you start the stitch through the doubled up layer here. Okay, so just take a tiny bit of the bottom layer there, as little as you can, and then just put that out of the way. and then back here to take a bit from the folded part of the cuff. So again, I'm not going through to the bottom layer with that one. You see that? So another tiny bit there. You could probably go a bit smaller than that if you're more adept than I am at these things, which is probably everyone. And then again back through the folded bit of the cuff so we don't see anything on the outside. There. I mean, the more you do this, obviously, the better you would get at it, and all the while trying to keep that nice and flat. Okay, now can you see what I've actually done there? So this is more like a kind of a crisscross pattern, and you'll see that you can see where I've gone through the folded part of the hem, like the cuffed part, and then just a tiny bit through the actual fabric, through the bottom layer of the fabric, and then back through the cuff again, and then again a tiny stitch through the bottom layer. Now this is what I just found out the other day, and that's rather than knotting it off, you can go back on your thread 1, 2, 3 times, and apparently I have it on good authority that will actually hold that stitch really nicely without having to knot it. Ta-da! Fresh hem. Now again, you can see the little points of gold thread there, but that's because it's gold thread. If it was grey thread or black thread, you just wouldn't see that. Oh, another tip as well, if you don't have the exact colour match of thread, always go darker, I've been told. That's the best way to kind of camouflage the thread. Again, you can throw that in the wash, you can tumble dry that, and as with the running stitch, when you need to bring those down again, you just get your stitch ripper again, and there you go. It is unhemmed, back to its original hem again. And trust me, if I can do that, anyone can do that.